Good morning, San Diego. How you guys doing out there? Welcome to the 162 Experience. We are live here in Southern California. Steve, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Benito. I'm a little disappointed. Usually open up a little more enthusiasm with the 162 Experience. Want to try it again?
We could try it again, yeah.
No, I mean live. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. Welcome, guys. We are here live in Southern California to the 162 Experience. We are live on Facebook right now. If you're following us on Facebook, go to the 162 Experience. You'll see us streaming live all morning on this show. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm very happy to be here.
We have a comedian in the house. This is going to be awesome. Steve, why don't you let our audience know what's going on right now?
Well, sure. Some of you know, because I talk about it every week, that 5 years ago I went to every New York Yankee game. And along that tour, part of the idea was that I would hit comedy clubs. And when I was in Seattle about a week before, I looked up comedy clubs in San Diego. I found the La Jolla Comedy Store. And this young man that we have in the studio today picked up the phone and asked us to send us him a video, which we did. And he was kind enough to give us 8 or 10 minutes on stage the following week. So, Mike Vinn, thanks for that. And thanks for being on the 162 Experience.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks for having me on. Thanks for being funny, too. If you're not funny, I just kind of ignore you and push your emails to the side.
No, I felt like you embraced us. You guys let us come outside and hang out with the comics in the back, which is always a tribute to that you were funny.
So how did you go with that? Was that just an email he sent to you?
Yeah, it's a blind. I get them all the time, though.
Okay.
You know, like there's always somebody that's trying to get on, and it's my job to filter through it and either put them on or not let them get on.
How long do you watch the video for when someone sends you a video? Just like first 10 seconds?
About a minute. Yeah. I mean, if it's like a 10, 15-minute video, I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But if you can get them going within like 30 seconds and a minute in, it's solid, and I know it's not bullshit.
Sure. Do you remember us contacting you? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And did you think we were funny, sort of funny, but hey, there are two crazy guys that are on a tour, so we'll give them that, or was it that we were funny?
It's a little bit of both. Okay. Like, well, I mean,
what was
it's the truth.
Video?
Well, he was doing the 162-day thing. Right. And so they sent a video of them on stage doing comedy, and I have to filter through those all the time. I get blank DVDs sent in the mail. I had gotten VHS tape like about 3 years ago, and I'm like, they're still sending this shit? like, who the fuck is sending VHS? But yeah, so I get the email. I responded. If you've got this wacky ass email, I'm just going to forget about it because it's basically you're an open micer, right? Because that's how open micers approach comics and bookers and managers and stuff like that, trying to be wacky and funny right off the bat. But if you come at it in a professional aspect, then I know you're a professional. So there's tip one, guys. If you're a new comic, don't try and be wacky and funny all the time. Just go through it. But yeah, I saw your video. I knew you were on tour. I'm a baseball fan. I respected what you were doing. And so that's how you guys got on stage.
Nice.
Huge baseball fan, I see, because you got the White Sox tattoo on the back of your leg.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome, bro.
He's got a White Sox tattoo on one leg and a Bears tattoo on the other. That's awesome.
Chi-Town in the house.
That's right.
Love it. Hey, guys, if you are not familiar with the show, let's kind of back up for 1 second and explain what's going on here. The 162 Experience is a podcast. What we do is we talk about sports, success in life, success entrepreneurship. We like to bring the sports world together with the business world. So what we do is we're all sports junkies here. We love sports, going to games, tailgating, all that stuff. But we also love entrepreneurship, marketing, and bringing CEOs on this show and getting everybody to talk and building a network and a community of people where we love to be more, do more, and have more. Steve, you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. Benito, I think you did a good job. But, in so much in life, people tear each other down and to make themselves look better for whatever reason. We encourage people. The whole objective of this show is to inspire people to live their dreams no matter what it is. And, we have a focus on success in business, sports, and life, like you said. And today, episode 9, we are so jacked to welcome our new co-host, Ashley Puida.
Hi.
If you were part of the dating show, she was one of our special guests, and she did such a great job, and we wound up hanging out for the rest of the day. And Benito and I graciously offered Ashley a co-hosting spot. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ash.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big moment. I think this is a turning point for us.
This totally is. So what the idea with her on the show is, what we want to do is, our audience loves sports, obviously, business and stuff, but we also have people that are just into fitness. I know I work out all the time, and I think it's just an interesting thing. And Steve's got this. He's got guns going on right now.
13.5.
Yeah.
Boom.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
But we want to bring an expert on the show all the time, where we're going to actually show like a segment during the show to say, Ashley's tip of the week, Ashley's whatever it could be. And I think she's going to be great, bringing valuable content to everybody.
And we're looking for, maybe our listeners will have a better idea than we have. So far, we've come up with Ashley's tip of the week. So maybe we'll get some Facebook comments today, or we'll come up with something over the next few weeks. But you want to do that now? Let's jump right into it.
Sure.
So Ashley, why don't you tell us briefly before we do that, since it's your first time co-host, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about me, I guess, in regards to fitness is I was a Hawaiian Tropic bikini model.
Whoa.
Yes. Old school. You know that segment in the Jim Carrey show where they're on the bus?
Yes.
That was.
Oh, yeah, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Right. That was
Two lucky guys are going to.
My friend, he's a little slow, but the town is that way.
Right. That's how I can relate to people because they don't get it otherwise. But I say that and they get it. And prior to that, I was a Playboy model, actually kind of congruently at the same time. And then that kind of came to an end, and I was still, looking to do something in that industry. And so bodybuilding kind of fell into my lap, and I had a whirlwind of an amateur year. I did very well. And then I earned my pro card, or my professional status as an athlete last July, so almost a year ago. Awesome. So I'm competing as a pro now, and I'm at the gym every day, and I've made a career out of it, and it's been wonderful.
Cool. And so you're not drinking mimosas with us today?
No, I actually will be competing in New Orleans on June 25th, I think it is. I should probably know the date better, but I don't. So I'm about 7 weeks out, which means that diet.
It's time to start cutting.
Correct.
Start carb counting, all that other good stuff.
He knows.
Come on, Mike. Let's stick to what we know over here.
He's done this before.
Awesome.
My girl's into all that stuff, and I cook, so
okay.
Nice.
So it ends up being my job to make sure I get all the meal prepping done and stuff like that. And so
he knows the lingo. He knows what's going on.
Good. Yeah, we might have a fourth co-host next week. This is great. Awesome. So what's your tip of the week? What do you want to tell the listeners?
Seeing as I just started my prep, I get a lot of questions about, weight fluctuation. So my tip would be in regards to diet. That's the hardest part about fitness. You can train and train and train and train and train and train and train. But if you're not dieting and eating the correct food, you're just not going to get results. So eating clean is very important. I eat 6 to 7 meals a day. It's not that I never eat poorly or eat what I want. Like I do live life occasionally here and there, but for the most part, I eat very, very clean. A lot of protein, high amounts of protein, good healthy fats like nuts, avocados, egg whites, chicken, turkey. I think I get a lot of questions about diet more than anything else.
So when you get those questions about diet, what are the people that audience you're talking to? What is their goal, or what is their mindset? What are they trying to get to?
This is really interesting, and I never thought in a million years that this is what my audience would be. I get more questions from men about how to gain muscle mass or gain weight than I get from anybody else. And so interestingly enough, I started helping out a few friends, male friends, and they had great results. So it's kind of strange because I'm a bikini competitor and I'm not really trying to put on weight. Most of the time I'm trying to lean out and slim down. But yeah, that's the majority of the questions I get.
Interesting. So Mike, you've done a whole cycle where you're doing transforming basically, like the film preps?
I've cooked the meal preps myself.
What do you eat when your girlfriend's eating good? What do you eat?
No, I still eat good. I try and eat healthy. My problem is I've got a lot of lingering injuries from the Marine Corps. Like my whole right side of my body, my shoulder, my ankle, my knee. Like I was doing a leg lifts the other day, and I just felt a sharp pain shoot up the back of my knee, and it put me out of commission for the past 2 weeks now.
Sure.
So I've got an MRI tomorrow to go through, but I'm not limping anymore. But I'm still going to do it just to find out. And also, I like to drink. I like to have beer. I'm drinking a mimosa in the morning. I'm not trying to do fitness competitions. I'm trying to tell jokes and then be in that industry. You know what I mean? So there's no reason for me to get all cut up.
Sure. Yeah, you don't have to explain anything to us. We like you. Hey, listen, let's talk about next week, actually. Next week's going to be dedicated. We're calling the show Mind, Body, Spirit, and it's going to be a tag team. Benito is going to be the main interviewer, and I'm going to do a section at the beginning on goal setting and affirmations and how to get your mind right. And then Ashley's going to come on and do the how to get your body right.
Correct.
Sound good?
Yes.
And so that's going to be episode 10. And then episode 11, we got a big-time motivational speaker, a guy named Greg Reed, and I'm excited to have him on the show in 2 weeks.
Do you want to get a little snippet on how that came about, or you want to wait till the show?
I'm not sure how much of the story I want to tell, because I almost had to buy him. I had to sign up for a seminar. It cost me like $1,000. So I guess I did just tell the story.
Yeah, you just did, but that's awesome.
But it's exciting. It was the best $1,000 I ever spent. So Mike came for free.
Yeah.
Except the
I didn't know
mimosas were $25 for the champagne. But let's do this. Let's talk a little sports, and then we'll jump into the interview. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about, and Mike Vinn might reach across and choke me, is the Chicago Cubs. They're 25-6, best start they've had in over 100 years, since 1907.
It hurts my stomach. It hurts.
You know they're going to screw it up, though, right?
I hope so. God, I hope so. It's been over 100 years. But also, the funny thing is, the last time they won the World Series, they beat the White Sox.
1908, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They beat the White Sox to win the World Series, and the White Sox are also in first place in the American League.
Wouldn't that be great? So
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Los Angeles, they call it the Freeway Series. New York, Subway Series. What do they call it?
Crosstown rivals.
There we go. Okay, because I wasn't sure.
It's north side, south side. Yeah. So it's.
But the dynamics of the Cubs when they put them together. So Theo Epstein won in Boston, and now he came to Chicago, and he's like, "This is what's going to happen. If you guys want to win, spend some money."
I hate him.
Well, yeah, I mean that's basically the name of the game.
He's a Red Sox guy.
Yeah. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know Moneyball.
Yeah.
When the Athletics put that whole thing together and everything, everybody saw the movie. Anybody who's a sports fan needs to watch that movie. You can succeed in that genre, but you need that little extra oomph. And that's where the Yankees have gotten it right under Steinbrenner, is they just kept buying the top-notch players. So if you got a bullpen full of pitchers that can throw heat nonstop, and you got the guys that can just crank them out, plus Derek Jeter, who's always on base, that's going to build World Series after World Series after World Series. So you have to spend the money.
Well, you got the Yankees closer now, Chapman, who's throwing some gas.
He's throwing 101 miles an hour. He's just ridiculous. And the Yankees arguably have the 3 best closers in baseball in their bullpen.
My question is, would it be a right-handed or a left-handed pitcher throwing 102 miles an hour? Does it really matter? Who could be better? Is there just because the ratio of batters?
He's a lefty, though, just so you know.
Yeah, everybody who not out there, or almost Chapman, he's a lefty. He came from... what team was he playing for?
Cincinnati.
Cincy? Dude, this dude's a beast.
Yeah, and that's basically. Plus, with the Cubs, Maddox is their manager. He had a lot of success down in Miami. A lot of success. So he just knows baseball.
Let's talk basketball. Go the Warriors. You guys see the game the other night?
I saw the last of it, the end of it.
Yeah, I saw the second.
Overtime.
I was actually in bed, had taken out my contacts. I got a book. I'm going to bed, and I got on my phone. I saw that it was halftime. I was like, oh, and we don't have TV here, so I had to go down to the bar to watch the second half.
Yeah. That's dedication.
He's like, oh, you watching this? I'm like, of course I'm watching this. I'm like, everybody's going crazy right now, man.
Yeah, I was at the shitbag show getting like a little bit of money, and so I was on stage, and I got off stage, and they were finishing up the game. So
he scored 17 points.
If you guys weren't watching the game, this is why this was so amazing, because Steph Curry, first of all, was deactivated for the game, and they decided right before the game, they were like, okay, he's going to come on. We're going to showcase to the world. They had to bring him on, because then what happened is Steph Curry's like a decoy for the other teams, It's like if he's not even going to be shooting or whatever, if he's on the court presence, you have to cover him.
He could still pass like nobody's business, though. You know what I mean?
And I think he was like 2 for 18 for 3-pointers, but Kerr being the coach and coming from those Bulls teams,
the 72-10 Bulls team.
Yeah, exactly. And what's happened is every time they go in the huddle or whatever, he's like, keep shooting, because he was going to just get on that level, and all of a sudden that muscle memory was going to kick in, and he was going to get on fire. And the crazy thing was, right before overtime, that's when it happened. When they started coming back and he started sinking all those threes, and then overtime happened. The crazy stat about that is Curry by himself had 17 points. Now, in the same night, the Trailblazers only had 14 points in overtime. The Heat and the Raptors together combined had 15 points in their overtime game. That was combined with 2 teams. Curry in overtime, 17 points, NBA record.
No player had ever done it regular season or
regular season or playoffs, overtime. Yeah. That's the record. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Dude, the best thing is right before I went on stage, I was watching the TV and I was like, did Curry just throw an air ball? Right, and he did, and I was like, dude, this is. And I got back off stage and it was overtime. I was like, oh shit, and he just went off.
Cool.
By the way, did you guys watch his MVP little award ceremony?
No, I heard about it.
Dude, it had to have been the worst speeches ever given.
Really?
Like the GM was like, I never really talked to the guy, but, and then the next, and then some other guy comes up, he's like, I don't really talk to Steph either, but we're happy he's here. And it's like the worst. And then the next guy's like, I guess nobody talks to Steph Curry except for, Coach Kerr. It's like he's the best player in the NBA for the past 2 years, and nobody
you have total
talks
access to him. You don't even say hi.
Yeah, like good. Like we walk past each other, and sometimes we don't say anything. It's like
maybe it's like a pitcher when he's throwing a perfect game. Like you don't talk.
You don't
to him.
talk
He's doing
to him.
so
You
well.
leave him all the way on the left side of the bench. Everybody's on the other side.
You think that's NBA etiquette too?
No,
you guys are dicks. What a horrible thing to say.
Yeah, that's a horrible.
Well, the GM of Golden State, he acquired Curry when he took the job over. Curry and like one other person were the only people that were left over. Like they ended up staying. So he might like resent.
How do you resent
Curry?
Somebody like Curry? I mean,
right?
It's so just good. Like a lot of people where they're talking about like LeBron. They hate him, and I'm like, seriously, one of the best players on the court, and you hate this guy?
He's got me watching the NBA again, and he's got me becoming a Warriors fan. I mean, I'm from New York, but
he's my favorite player in the NBA.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, when the Warriors beat the Bulls, I wasn't even mad. I was like, well, what do you expect?
Absolutely. You guys want to interview Mike Vinn?
Let's do this.
We've got a series of questions, but Mike is so conversational that I think we'll just go all sorts of different ways with it. But Mike, we watched a clip on Facebook of you last night, and I thought it was a great interview. It was a 5-minute clip, and I learned a lot about you just in that time. But why don't you take us back to what inspired you to do stand-up comedy? I always loved making people laugh. Like that was always like a passion. Like I was addicted to laughter and smiles. Like my biological father, and I always say that because I haven't seen him in over 20 years. His biggest complaint with me was like, you think everything's a joke? You think everything's Turns out, I think everything's a fucking joke. So I used to hear that all the time, and it never went away from me. I used to listen to records with my mom all the time, like Bill Cosby, Cheech and Chong, Robin Williams. One time I was supposed to be asleep, and I think I was like 8 years old. I ended up watching the Watusi tour, Howie Mandel. And I saw Howie Mandel, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. And that's what really made me want to do it. And it always stuck with me. And then just throughout life, growing up, just going through a lot of hardships, like comedy and humor was always there for me. And it was always there for my family because I brought it to them. It was almost like a coping mechanism and like an escape. So that's how I started getting, even better at it. And then I joined the Marine Corps after high school, came out to California. While I was in the Marine Corps, I used to write song parodies. And like even to this day, like I'll hear a song and then the words will start changing in my own head. So, I got out of the Marine Corps and I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I thought I was going to be retire from it and everything like that. But after a few years, I was like, you know what, I'm done. And just looked up the open mic at the Comedy Store and just started getting on stage. And 10 years later, I'm here in this house in La Jolla doing this podcast, this live podcast. Well, we appreciate you coming in. My story is similar in the fact that I saw Johnny Carson when I was about 12 years old, and I didn't even understand any of his jokes. They were all going over my head, but I love the way he interacted. I love his facial expression, his body language. The audience was into him and stuff like that. Tell us about your first time on stage. Like when you decided to go on stage, how long of a period was it before you got on stage, and what was that like for you?
I think it was like a few weeks. For me to actually get out there. Because at that time I was going through a lot of different transitions in my life and I didn't have a lot going for me. So it was like a pain in the ass for me to get from East County, San Diego to La Jolla without a car. So I just have to get on like a 3-hour bus ride, like get on the trolley. Because it's like in New York, Chicago, like Boston, like places like that, the transit system is so good. It's so easy. Yeah. But then you get out here, you kind of need a car.
But the West Coast is horrible.
Yeah, you can't just wing it.
Well, especially for a comic like in Boston, New York, or Chicago, you could do 3, 4, 5 open mics a night.
Yeah. I did that in New York. I was there to do the Knights of Columbus in Jersey, and so I just ended up spending a couple more days in New York with a friend of mine, and just like bouncing around the city, getting on different stages, like Stand Up New York and stuff like that. But back to getting on stage, it took me like a couple weeks because I finally found out how to, they had an open mic. Then I found out the process of how to get there. And back then you used to have to go there live in person, and they'd put out a clipboard on the front door and you'd have to put out your name. They put it out at 4:00 and it stayed out there till 6:00. I didn't know that everybody got there at 3:30 to wait in line. So I got there at 4:30 thinking I'm no problem. All the spots are taken. So I was like, fuck. Or what about Mikey? And just left. And then next week I came back early, got my name up there. I think I was like the second to last one to put their name on the list. Because I just got there just like at 4:00.
Did you have to bring like 4 friends with you or anything?
No. That's the beautiful thing about the Comedy Store. You can just show up and get on stage. You can't do it every night, but for like an open mic night, you can just get on stage. Not like in New York in Gladys. Have you ever done that club?
Mm-mm.
I was out there. I was trying to just looking for different stages to get on so I can just pack the schedule, pack the nights out and stuff like that. I called this club, I think it was called Gladys. And I talked to her and she's like, yeah, you got to pay X amount of dollars or bring 5 friends. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. I was like, do you have any idea of what I do, who I deal with, and the people that are the shows that I'm on? You want me to pay you to get on stage? You should be fucking paying me, lady. I'm just looking for a spot.
So I want to back up just a second.
How'd that set go?
She's like, never again.
I got booed off stage and she hung up.
We all see comics. I know everybody has seen, their favorite comics. But for you guys saw comics and you're watching them and you're like, I can do that. What was it that was different from me? I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's funny. It's blah, blah, blah. But you saw something, probably you, Steve, too. It's like, at what point did it go to the next level where you're like, I can be on stage. I can do this. What now?
Just thought it looked fun. I just like that looked cool to do. I want to do that. It's like the same thing with somebody that's like a BMX rider flipping around. It's like, you know what I mean? Or doing freestyle on a skateboard, street ramps and stuff like that. They're like, oh, that looks cool. I want to do that. Or my stepson or my future stepson, he loves soccer and he's always watching weird videos. So he's always kicking shit around the house, driving me crazy. And I just send him outside with his ball and he just, does his thing. So it's just you see it, you want to do it, and that's it. You just think it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was a great story on the clip that we saw about you. So you show up at the comedy club, and a lot of times, what I do is I have an index card, and if I'm doing 5 or 6 minutes, I might have 2 or 3 words. So I look down. You actually showed up with no material.
I had nothing. It's funny too because we had to get there so early, and for me, I wasn't going to drive back or take the bus back home and come back in. Jump in whenever you want. So a bunch of us ended up at a bar across the street, just hanging out, and they're all going over notebooks, and they're like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And I'm like, I got nothing. You don't have any jokes written or anything? I was like, no, why don't you just get on stage? Because that's what I thought happened. You just got on stage. You just spoke whatever. You were just funny off the bat, off the cuff. And then that's just...
Did that work out for you? I mean, were you able to just off the cuff? You didn't...
I was, to a point. I was nervous as hell. Uh-huh. My body started physically shaking.
Right.
And I was just, just going off the cuff and just saying whatever. And and it worked out. I mean, I had some chuckles. It wasn't as horrible as I thought it was. I wasn't booed off stage or anything. I didn't have a killer set, but it was good enough to be like, oh, okay, I can do this. So
see, now I can relate to that a little bit because I think that I know a lot of people have asked me, whatever made you decide you wanted to get on stage in a pair of high heels and a bikini? And I remember winging it kind of my first time, and these girls were professional.
Yeah, they just have the pattern down, everything, all the...
And then you get up there, and I suffered from stage fright. I mean, for a long time, I got up there and was physically shaking, and it's something that I've had to overcome. Did you, going forward, how did you deal with that?
You just do it. I mean, it's like how you did. You just went on stage and you just did it. You just did your thing. You just kept going. And the first time is the worst, and then it just progressively gets better and better. I mean, even to this day, different shows I'll get really anxious for. And one time I was doing a show on the Navy base, and for some reason on the way over there, my arms just started to shake. And I was like, I've been doing this for years. Why am I all of a sudden now, I've been on tour. There's been 1,000 people in front of me and I have no nerves. But today, out of nowhere, just
what was it? What?
I think it was because I was in the Marine Corps and I was in the infantry. So we were very rowdy, over rowdy. Cause it's just,
and you were going to a Navy base. So.
Well, yeah, I was going to a Navy base, but my military experience was just we used to just get drunk and beat the shit out of each other. That's what we did. And then we would train and we'd be sober and we'd beat the shit out of each other. So it's just we're very vocal.
So on that first time, you had no preparation,
no preparation, no notes, no nothing.
Do you remember the first joke that you told?
Yeah, I remember the first joke I told.
Let's hear it.
The background of it is I was sitting, we were sitting there joking around, and I heard these other guys, like they're like construction workers or something like that, and they were talking about drywall. Right, so my first joke on stage, other than like I feel like a virgin on prom night, was
wait, was that the first?
That was
joke?
The first thing I said on stage. I was like, look at me, I was shaking, and because I didn't have anything prepared, I was just going off what was coming out of my head. I was like,
which was blank at that point.
Which was blank, but I was shaking so much. I was like, God, I'm shaking like a virgin on prom night, And then the next thing I said was like, before the show, I was hanging out at the bar across the street. We're just having some drinks. These guys were talking about drywall, and I was like, shit, drywall is what happens when I don't jerk off in the morning.
Any response from the crowd?
Right? There's a few chuckles and stuff like that, a few groans, but there's a reaction. There was a reaction, and then but since then, like my sets have gotten way different. It's like, of course, it's.
How long was that first set you did?
3 minutes. Felt like 3 hours. Like your first time on stage, it's such a short time, but it feels like forever.
Mm-hmm. Do you still get that feeling so you're in the back of the room. Well, let's even back up. You're going on a 5 or 10 minutes, and let's say you're doing a regular show. Maybe you're opening up for an out-of-town guy that's coming in, and you like have a ritual where you go in the bathroom and look at yourself and be like, you're the best.
You mean like 8 Mile? Okay.
you drywall it in the back.
That's it, right? No, I don't have a ritual. Like most of the time, like if I'm not booked out somewhere, then I'm at the Comedy Store. One of my jobs that I do there is I also bartend on the weekends if I'm in town doing stuff. If I'm in town, if I'm not out about doing things. So like I'll be behind the bar, and then my boss will be like, all right, Mikey, do you want to do this one? Instead of going, hey, you're doing it, he comes up to me, he's like, do you want to do the first one? Or I'll just tell him like, hey, let me get on this one or whatever.
Right.
And then I'm just pouring drinks. They go, all right, he's lit. And I was like, all right, cool. That's the piano player. Lou Brockton's lit. So I was like, all right, man. And as soon as he stops playing, I stop pouring. I leave, get on stage, tell my jokes, and go back to work. If I'm at another place, I'm just hanging out. If it's a brand new place, I'm more likely to go over stuff and like try and plan it out a little more just because it's a new place. And when you're in a new club, they don't know you. So it's your job to impress them. And you do that by making the audience laugh. If you can make the audience crack up at what you're saying, they're going to like you. They're going to bring you back.
It's like Gladiator, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
So would you say you have a routine when you're in that sort of experience, in the new place?
Not really.
Or
no.
a ritual.
Like I walk the stage. Like I go up, especially if it's empty. I did it at La Jolla Comedy Store that night. And I love the stage where you get people.
It's a nice square, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's maybe one of the funnest rooms I've ever worked, quite frankly.
A lot of people love that room.
Yeah.
You guys don't listen to like music and get amped up before you get on there.
I've done it before. I've tried to find a ritual. Like I used to listen to the Cool Kids.
Vodka gets you amped up, right?
I have a Red Bull vodka.
There was also a time where I would have a shot of tequila and drink a beer. It'd be the 2 napkin special is what I used to call it. And then that's what I would. So it's changed throughout. I don't have a set thing to do. But again, I've been doing it for so long that there's been times I've just been hanging out at a show, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you're going to host and do 10 minutes up top. And I was like, all right, when's it starting? As soon as this song's over.
Okay, so I'm interested in this. Because I know I'll never be on a stage for comedy, and I'm sure you won't, Ash. But like, give us a tip for something.
Wow.
I mean, you're funny. You're funny.
You can do whatever you want. That's what this show's about, to inspire people.
Why are you trying to hold people down, Benito?
Benito, cut his mic.
But if we're sitting in the crowd, like, what's something we could look at? Where are you guys, for a reason, coming closer to the crowd, coming back? Like, what are you guys doing? Where you'd be like, wow, I didn't even know that, but they're actually doing it.
See, here's the thing. Every comic has their own way of doing stuff. If you see a comic kind of shine away and they're newer, like a lot of comics will just like kind of crunch down and like back up a little bit.
Like the fetal position?
Yeah. Or one surefire way to tell the difference between a newer comic and a veteran comic is where they put the mic stand. So a lot of newer comics will take the mic out of the mic stand and just talk into the mic, and just the mic stand's still sitting right in front of them. So they have like this imaginary barrier between them and the crowd.
Interesting.
If it's a professional comic, somebody's been doing it for a while, who's seasoned, who's more of a veteran, they'll take the mic out of the mic stand, move the mic stand to the side, because they don't need it unless it's part of their act. Like Chris Porter uses it in his act, so he'll hold the mic stand. Argus Hamilton, who's been on Carson like 72 times, he holds the mic stand. And they'll use it. They'll use different things. Also, if you notice the fluidity in their movements, like for me, when I put the mic stand to the side, I know I'm going to use it at a later time, so I just step back, pop it down, and I just make sure I know it's just in that.
Like you've done it before.
In that motion, because I have done it before. Right, I've done it over and over and over again, so it's muscle memory.
Have you ever dropped the mic stand?
I've never dropped the mic stand. I've had it to where the mic stand, the thing that tightens it, isn't tightened all the way, or it's broken, and I put the mic back into the top, and I was going to do the thing where I don't need my hands, or I need my hands to do something, and the mic thing would just drop, or the top little part that the little adapter you put the mic in there, like that's broken, and all of a sudden I'm talking, the mic just goes straight up into the air.
Oh, that's funny.
Or the mic cord will fall out because it's old and rickety. And
what's the worst thing that's happened to you on stage?
Worst thing that's happened to me on stage, mine going blank.
Somebody throwing tomatoes at you?
Yeah.
I don't have tomatoes in comedy clubs. Unless it's the Improv where they serve food, then maybe. But just your mind going blank. My mind had gone blank on me one time, and I had nothing. Like I hit my first joke, it hit so hard, and then just nothing.
Was that 420 moment?
How do you deal with that?
No, you just grit your teeth and you just bear down and you just go. Worst show I ever had was also one of my best shows.
You thought it was bad, right?
Well, no. What happened was I was featuring for a friend of mine, Vicky Barbalak. She won Nick at Night's Funniest Mom in America, and she wanted me to feature for her at this road gig somewhere, Podunk, California, and she was having her friend open for us. Her friend, she tells me in the car on the way to pick him up that he hasn't done comedy in like 6 to 8 years. So I'm going to need you to go up first, do 10 minutes, and kind of host it, bring him up. He's supposed to do 15, but he's probably going to do 6. And then you go back on stage and do 30 minutes. Right? Yeah, right? It's unheard of. It's never happened.
That's a lot of content.
That's a lot. I mean, like, I had the jokes, but that takes some strategic.
Yeah, once
planning.
you're off, you're off.
Yeah, once you're off, you're done. So what I did was I tried to set it up to where I had like a lot of heavy hitting jokes. I had to take certain jokes out of my set and put them in a 10-minute set to get them going. And I put a lot of my heavy hitting jokes like, okay, so I'll do this, so that way, I could just pair it out and just make it work. Do the 10-minute set, eat it. Hard. Like I'm pulling out big jokes, like all my marquee, like heavy hitters, and those are falling flat, and it's falling flat, and it's falling flat, and I just
and it's so discouraging because it's your best stuff.
Well, yeah, and I'm also have to go up there and fucking anywhere between 6 and 15 minutes to do a half an hour, and all your good stuff is gone. Right? So I get off stage. This guy gets up there. He does okay. He does about 8 to 10 minutes. Still less than what he was supposed to, but more than what we expected. And I get on stage and I got nothing. Like I've got some jokes that I could say, but like all the big stuff, everything I planned is gone, and I've got to be up there for a half an hour. Huh. All right, so I just, at that moment, it's like, what are you going to do, sink or swim? And you just say, fuck it. It can't get any worse than what it's already gotten. They already hate me, and so I just started doing it, did crowd work, and then they loved me. And then some people came up to me afterwards and was like, did you plan it like that? Did you plan it to just eat it so hard and just make us hate you and just come back on stage as a hilarious comic? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I did.
And audiences are so fickle too. Like once they don't like you, even if you're funny, they've already decided they don't like you.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think there's such a thing as a good audience? Like a lot of comics, especially open micers, will come off and be like, that audience sucks tonight.
Okay, it's more the comic than the audience, because your job is to make them laugh. It's not their job to laugh at you. But at the same token, there is a such thing as a bad audience, and those are ones that are like on their phones and talking to each other. The ones that are coming to comedy clubs, not to watch comedy, but just because they think it'd be fun to go hang out.
Yeah, or bachelorette parties.
Yeah, bachelorette parties are the worst. Birthday party, like female birthday parties. Yeah. Male birthday, guys don't care.
No.
about their birthdays.
They sit right in the front too, so you can't even get around.
And they're like, it's her birthday! And nobody cares. Or she's getting married. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, like, we're trying to tell jokes here. It's not about you at this moment. For once in your life, nobody's paying attention to you. Just leave it alone.
So I know Benito had questions about hecklers.
I've never been in that group, by the way.
Good. Don't. So, like, that's where I'm saying, like, those are bad crowds. Those are bad audience members.
Yeah.
But there are also the crowds that come in that just really want to laugh. Like, if you go to a place where, like, they normally don't get comedy, like if you go out of a big city, more podunk, those audiences are coming more to laugh and more to, like, have fun. And they're going to be like, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt no matter what range of comedy that you're in. So those are really good audiences. But to answer the question, it's all about the comic. It's not a bad crowd. It's not a good crowd. It's what you're bringing, the energy you're giving to them. And
I remember watching a special with Robin Williams, and this comes with the heckler thing. And he was talking about how he just had a Rolodex of stuff in his head year after year, just had stuff to fire at people or fire at just different scenarios. Do you have that, or does every comic have it? Or
I have some that, like, I try and, like, pending on it, but I normally just try and talk to them and just, like, try and get them to go back to the jokes. Or I remember that I'm amplified and they're not, and I time it to where every time they start talking, I start talking. Because then the audience can't hear that person, but they can hear me. Because I've got monitors and speakers and a whole sound system behind me. So that's like, those are the two ways. You can either engage with them and try and bring it back around, or you can just overpower them with your own sound, and eventually they shut up because nobody's paying attention.
Sure, and I think it's the motivation of a heckler, because you have, in my opinion, you have a couple different people. One that they don't know better.
No, they don't. They think they're helping the show.
They think they're helping the show.
Oh, I'm giving you. They're like, hey, put in your toaster, and you're talking about kids. You know what I mean? It's like it has nothing to do with anything.
Right. It's like they think you're struggling, and so they think you need your help.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm not. I've done this plenty of times. I'm bringing it down for a reason.
Yeah. And then there's just the drunk guy or drunk lady
that just doesn't know any better.
Man, I think I have been that girl.
Oh, really?
Before.
You have?
Well, the worst is, like, if you ever do contests, or maybe you're in a festival and you're trying to impress somebody there, and you only got 5 minutes, and all of a sudden there's somebody right up front, and you just got to tell them to shut the F up,
Yeah. There's those times where it's like, have you ever seen Brett Ernst deal with a heckler?
Mm-mm.
The way he deals with a heckler, because he used to be a school teacher and he used to teach in the hood. And he also grew up like dirt poor, free lunch, New York, Florida, stuff like that. Jersey and Florida. And but because he was a school teacher, he'll stop the whole show. He's like, hold on. Then he'll just focus and he's like, what is it? Right? And he just starts berating them, like in a way like a teacher or a parent would be like, what is it that you have to get out? Why do you have to have this attention? Do you see what you're doing to the rest of the crowd? You see, like, you're taking everything away from the show. These people paid a lot of money to come see me, and he, like, kind of teaches them that they're a piece of shit. They need to keep their mouth shut so they can be a better human being. And it's just a beautiful, like, God, if you can, like, I hate hecklers. I hate how they take away from the show. But if you could ever see Brett Ernst deal with a heckler, it's amazing. The other one is Rick Ingram, because he does crowd work nonstop, and he's the guy who has a Rolodex of stuff anyways, and he wants it to come in. Same thing with Brian Callen from Mad TV and stuff. He loves the chaos.
So you mentioned that a couple times, crowd work. Is it like you're getting them to engage with you, or what?
Yeah, you're asking them questions and making fun of them based on or what they say.
And that helps with material, right? That
does help with material because that's what you're trying to go in there. Like, if a comic's asking you questions, answer the questions. That's not a heckler. That's just engagement between the comic and the audience. But if you're just sitting there and you're just running your mouth, you're an asshole, you're a heckler, and you need to leave. Like, we kick them out at the Comedy Store, and there's a lot of other clubs that'll just kick you out.
So, Mike, I hear you saying the names of other comedians and sort of styles that they have, or signature styles that they have. What do you have a signature style, or is there something that people that you're known for?
I'm more of a storyteller. I deal with observations and just I pull stuff out of my life and bring it to the stage. So like when my girl was looking up all this different, like, she just Googled stuff all the time. She came across like this thing called moissanite, and she wanted to see it, and we ended up going to his jewelry store, and instead of staying there for like 20, 30 minutes, we were there for like 5 hours looking at real diamonds, engagement rings, all this other stuff. And it just, just that whole experience, I was able to bring it into a joke because of the engagement, or the fact that we went hiking and I had to carry a little fluffy white dog
I love when I see
in a
that.
backpack, like in my little Chicago Bears cinch bag, like it's some baby Bjorn. You know what I mean? Like just going up and down while people with real dogs are just staring at me. It's like what? You know, I've got tattoos on my arms. You know, I'm not like some little wussy guy. Look, you know what I mean? Like I know what I look like. And then I've got this little.
Does your girlfriend still come to your shows?
Oh yeah, she does. She loves coming to the shows. She has jokes that she loves. She has jokes that she doesn't, and she's my fiance now.
Okay.
So we are planning a wedding.
I would like to hear some of the jokes that she doesn't.
Yeah,
what
give us an
doesn't
example. What does she like? Tell you after the show? Don't ever do that joke.
No. She never does that. She doesn't tell me what I can or can't say on stage. She tells me if she doesn't like something. Or but out of respect, if I'm writing a joke that has to deal with her and our life together, I will like run it by her to make sure it's okay. Because I don't want to disrespect her. You know, I don't want to be, you know, there's some comics that go on stage and they shit on their family, shit on their friends, shit on their wife or girlfriend or whatever. And it's like, dude, guy, come on. You know, it's like you're supposed to love these people. Like, how can you say that about them? You know what I mean? Because I won't do anything for a laugh.
Sure.
But
hey, can we go back to open micers and maybe take us through the life of a comic? You know, that the top of the game is headliners. You got open micers. Walk a little bit through the transition of the life of a comic, of how you move up. And
all right, so how you move up, how it starts is if you want to do comedy, you start researching where to get on stage. You look at, and the best thing to look at is comedy clubs. So if there's a comedy club in your area, chances are there's an open mic. And then you just look on the website, look on the Facebook, whatever, just try and find out the information or call them up. Be like, hey, I saw you guys have an open mic. How do you get on there? Then you get on stage. Write something, don't write something, just get on stage. No matter what you write, whatever your first set is going to be, even that first year of jokes that you do, you're never going to do them again. It's not going to be in your 30-minute special, hour special, or anything like that. So you get on stage. You start getting on stage. Then you want to start talking to the other people on the open mic. Don't talk to the regular comics because they don't give a shit about you. You're a dime a dozen. Chances are you're going to be there for about 3 weeks and then just disappear forever and you're never going to see them again. Or you're going to be there for the next 5 years pestering them. Either way, don't talk to them. Talk to the other people on the open mic. Talk to the other people on your level because they know the other spots to go to where you can get on stage on your level. Or they're starting their own open mic at different bar shows and stuff like that and they can give you stage time. So once you start getting on the open mic, the next thing you need to do is find out where the other open mics are so you can get on stage as much as you can, wherever you can. Get out of your comfort zone. If you're a white kid, do jokes in the hood. You know what I mean? If you're a hood kid, do jokes in the rich white neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Because that way you learn how to work all the different kinds of crowds. Because people like the La Jolla people, the people that are living next to you and stuff like that, they're not going to laugh at the same thing that people in like East County or people in Compton or something like that. Like they all have different sense of humor. So you start getting on, get out of your comfort zone, go to all these different places. My other big thing is don't be a dick. Don't be cocky. Don't be an asshole. Because if you're a cocky asshole, nobody wants to work with you. If you're a dick, nobody wants you around. Unless you're super funny, and even then, you're only there for a paycheck, and then they're like, fuck, he's coming this weekend? All right, let's get this money really quick, and then move on to somebody who's actually funny.
Great advice so far, guys. I mean, for being in the comedy world, that's golden stuff.
Yeah. So then, as you're moving on to the open mics and stuff like that, that first year, basically what you're doing is you're learning how to be on stage. Like what I was talking about earlier with the mic stand. You're going to learn, don't have that mic stand in front of you. If you don't need it, put it to the side. Make sure when you get on stage, you'll see comics. Here's another thing to go back to the question. Make sure you set up the stage for you. If you're going to use the stool for something, as soon as you get on stage and grab the mic, say hello to the audience. You know, start moving stuff. Give it up for the comic before you. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, give it up for Steve. He's just here, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And just set up your stuff. Move the mic stand to the right. Move the stool to the left. Put your drink on the stool if you need to. You know, and then start going. And then start bringing into it. So that first year, you're going to learn how to set up your stage, how to be on stage. You're going to learn your stage presence. You're not going to find your voice for at least another 2 more years after that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah.
And tell people what that means, find your voice.
Find your voice is you're going to find how you're funny, but that's not necessarily your voice. Like, you can learn how to be funny on stage, but your voice is speaking about who you are. You know what I mean? Like, being yourself on stage and not just being a representative of you.
That's a difficult thing to find.
It's a very difficult thing to find.
It is, because I think at first anybody who's in entertainment, whether it's getting on stage in a bikini or being a comedian, I used to hear girls go, "Oh, well, you this is a routine and this is a box routine," and then you sort of add your own personality and your flair to it, and I was like, what the hell are they
what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then eventually it kind of just happened as the box routine becomes more comfortable and you can kind of do that with your eyes closed. All of a sudden, I'd be practicing and I'd do a transition and I'd go, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you put your own attitude in there. You put your own flair into there. You put your own just like, you know what I mean? Like, because anybody can be just that stereotypical, just boom, like, comic or just like you walk straight this way, you turn around, and you'll get some work. You'll do fairly well for yourself. But if you notice, like the ones that really, really hit the big time, those are the guys that can speak about anything, speak about their lives, say whatever they want, and they just have that attitude on stage, and you fall in love with their personality, and then that's why they become big, because you know what you're going to get when you see them.
So you were talking about how it takes a year, maybe two, to find your voice.
Yeah, after you find out how to be on stage, you'll take at least at the minimum 2 to 3 years to find your voice.
So is being funny a learned skill?
Being funny on stage is a learned skill. Okay, because anybody can be the funny guy in the party and stuff like that, but those are your friends. They already know you. They know your personality. They understand your jokes and where you're coming from.
Right.
On stage, these people have no idea who you are. So you have to learn how to be yourself, how to get them on board with you within 30 seconds, because that's the most you have. You have 30 seconds to get them
to build that rapport.
With them, like you guys are best friends and you guys have been talking about this for years.
Because they're going to check out mentally, right?
Yeah, right away.
Do you tell a joke by that, or what's the key? If somebody's like, I'm really looking to, I guess, hone that skill right away. Like, what's advice? How would you build that rapport?
The thing with you is that you're already on the mic. You already do things on the microphone to where you're on a show to where you have to build that rapport with people anyways. After a while, it just comes naturally. It's the way you act. It's the way you move. It's the way you talk. It's how you engage with them. You know what I mean? Like if you get up there and we're like, fuck you people, and they don't know you, if you haven't been doing that, if that's not your rapport with comics or with people, with the audience because you're big, they're just going to be like, well, fuck you too. And then they're just going to go use the bathroom, go outside, have cigarettes, start talking amongst each other. So you just go up there, you say, you be friendly. You say hi, you give it up for the comic before you. It's great to be here. Make some noise for the guy on the piano. You just do little things just to be like, all right, this guy's nice. I like him. Like you have good posture. When you take the stage, you command it. You just like, this is my, because at that point when you're a comic and you're on stage, that's your stage. It's not the Comedy Store stage. It's your stage. And that's what a lot of new comics need to understand too, is like, take it. It's yours. That's your place. That's your apartment. That's your home. That's whatever it is. That is yours. For those 5 minutes that you're on stage, for that half an hour you're on stage, that is your place, and don't let anybody take your place from you.
I like that.
You've got to, I think, just experience, right? Just doing it
and confidence.
Over
and confidence
again.
too.
Right, and the confidence will come with the experience.
Yeah, there's this new guy. He's been doing comedy since he was like 16, 17 on the open mic, and he used to have to wait outside because it's 21 and up, and then get on stage and then leave again, because that's just how it's liquor license and entertainment license, so you can be underage. That's another thing, guys. If you're 17, 18 years old and you want to get on stage, you can still get on stage at clubs. You just have to wait outside for your spot and then leave again as soon as you're done.
Oh, that's funny.
That's how the entertainment license works. You can be underage and entertain people in bars and stuff like that.
Hard to learn from the other comics, though, if you're outside.
Is he funny?
That is true. He is funny. He was always funny, but he used to cower on stage.
Oh.
Like he used to his shoulder would be down and he'd be kind of like tucked in a little bit. And I told him that same advice, like, hey, you're funny. You've been doing this for a long time. You've got a lot of good jokes. Your stage presence is fucking you up.
Okay, so how long were you in the game when you told him that, when you met him?
I told him that a few months ago.
Okay, so that was
recent. That was the most recent thing.
So like Steve just said, so if there's a comic, let's take, for example, somebody who is over 21, and you said, don't talk to the comics who've been doing it for a long time because they're going to think you're an ass, or they don't even want to talk to you.
You have to get comfortable on stage first.
So how does somebody that's just starting or on, it's like let's say first 4 months, what's some advice if you can't talk to the guys that are headlining and stuff? Who's your mentor? Like, what do you learn? Like,
your mentor is yourself and the audience and the other people on your level. Like if you're a comic, if you're going to make it as a comic, you're observant anyways. You're going to see things. You're going to see things, and you're going to interpret them a little bit differently than everybody else. But you're an observer. You observe life. You see what's going on around you, and then you report it back out. So you're already seeing what you're doing. It's a lot like sports. You know what I mean? If like you're watching somebody doing that, like Kobe Bryant. The reason why Kobe Bryant's so good is because he watched Jordan.
Yeah.
And
I watch them at the top of King Pros all the time. All the time.
Mike, a question that I get that you probably get a lot is, do you write your own material?
Of course.
Of course. I know. But what I'm saying is, it's somebody that doesn't understand the comedy world. If there was only one rule, I think the rule is be original and never, ever, ever steal anybody else's stuff.
No, you can't steal. Then you're a hack. And then
Sure. And so what happens in the club? Do you call guys out on it?
I will not on stage because I have respect for the stage.
Sure.
I don't want to ruin the show. If people are laughing, having a good time, I don't want to take that away from the audience. When they get off stage, I'm like, hey man, you gotta.
Wow,
you can't
so
do that.
happens.
That happens. How do you think Carlos Mencia got huge?
Yeah.
Oh.
He stole everybody's jokes.
Okay.
Like Ari Shaffir used to steal his jokes. Joe Rogan used to call him out on it all the time while Mencia was on stage at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. There's a whole video about that stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm like, hey man, like that joke is, this person's doing it. It's all over TV. You're going to want to shy away from that. If they're a new comic, if they're an older comic, I'm like, yeah, you're a piece of shit.
Are there other topics to stay away from? When I first started doing comedy, I would do Viagra jokes and, Cialis jokes. And the first guy that owned the club told me, hey, stay away from those. And I thought they were really funny, so I kept going. And then a veteran comic came and told me the exact same thing. And as soon as he said it, I was like, all right. Now, I thought they were really funny, but...
It's the cheap jokes, but also that's a topic that's touched on by everybody. And it's like the joke is so... It's so done so much that it's basically the same joke. You know what I mean? Like it's like how many different punchlines can you get from Viagra?
Right.
And chances are there's somebody who is a huge name comic that's already done it on TV, and it's like, yo, just stay away from that.
Yeah.
Like I try not to do a lot of like current events, but I talk more about your life experience, my life experiences, my personal experience and stuff like that. Like a new one that I just started working on is about single mothers, and I keep hearing people saying being a single mom is so hard, and my spin on it is like, I don't think it's that hard because my mother did it drunk for 15 years. It can't be that hard if you can get liquored up and still do it. And then I just tagging it, and it's a little on the darker side, so I've got to find a way to brighten it up a little bit, make it a little more friendly.
Tagging, what does that mean?
Adding different jokes to it, like that's the main joke, right? And then so the new tag for it that I've just started putting on it, like on these shows, is like parenting drunk is a lot like driving drunk. Whereas the more you do it, the more likely you are to hit somebody. It's
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's dark, but it's true. So it's a truthful thing.
Everybody can relate.
It's very dark, and it can either. I've seen it like just blow up audiences who are like, oh shit, and I've seen audiences go, oh shit.
So let's talk about the anatomy of a joke.
Yeah.
So a tag is when you've got your basic structure of a joke, and then you find something funny. Sometimes it's maybe it's something that you get from an audience or another comic says, hey, maybe try this.
Exactly. I've tagged other people's jokes before, and they've tagged my jokes before, and it's taken off from there. But yeah, like you have your base joke. That's your premise and your punchline. So your setup, your premise of your joke is the idea behind the joke. So like your premise is like going hiking and carrying a white fluffy dog. That's the premise of the joke. Is I went on a hike with my girlfriend, or now my fiance, and we took our little half Shih Tzu, half Maltese fluffy white dog with us, and I had to carry it up the mountain. So that's the premise of the joke. All right, and then the story, and then you start building the story behind it, and those are the setups, and then the punches are like the little funny things you say that goes through it. So it's like I had to put it like it was a fucked up baby Bjorn to walk 5 miles up a mountain while people with real dogs walk past us talking shit. Right? So then that becomes a punchline. It's like, what's going on? Oh, I'm doing this. And then boom. This is what happened. Here's the funny part. People are talking shit. And then the main punchline is my girl actually takes a picture of me and posts it on Facebook and tags me in it. So her friends see it, my friends see it, and the comments that come along with it. Like all her friends are like, oh my God, that is so cute. And then all my friends are like, hey, 2 bitches in a mountain. So it's like, so that's how it goes. It's a setup is like, oh, that even goes to that whole joke. That's when it becomes a bit. So it goes from joke where we're hiking and I've got to carry this white fluffy dog and people are talking shit about me. That becomes like the main joke, and then the whole bit behind it. And a bit is a couple jokes strung together to make one big joke. The bit comes in where I talk about the other things that are going on with that. Why this is really, really funny is because now she's taking a picture of me and she's posting on Facebook. And she made a comment on, or she tagged the picture and wrote on there, he used to be tough, right? And then all the comments that her friends are leaving, and now my friends are leaving. And all my friends are either stand-up comics or Marines. Oh. So that's where I don't get the same cutesy messages. Yeah. And that's where all the...
And what percentage of, when you tell a story like that, that's true, that happened?
That one's 100% true. And then there's other ones that are about 75, 80% true.
But the premise is usually true.
The premise is true.
Like if I'm a bedwetter, you're a bedwetter. If you see them upstairs saying, or up on stage saying something, that's
chances
true.
Chances
and then maybe
are
the punchline is embellished.
Yeah, or the story behind it's a little exaggerated here and there, just because it's like, there's only so many jokes you can make about, and I carried the dog up the mountain. Blah, blah, blah.
Mike, anytime you want to borrow a charger just to get your manhood back, you can.
No, I think I'm manly enough just to have that actually little white fluffy dog.
I don't know if people could see it today, but Ashley brought her dog. Ashley, tell us about your dog.
He is the official, unofficial mascot for the San Diego Chargers. His name is Charger.
Is that true, or is that just something you made up?
The premise of that is.
See, she's learning.
She's learning. A quick study, I'll tell you that. She's a quick study. And like our Facebook page right now, if you want Ashley back next week, she's coming back. But if you want her back, she's coming back anyway.
Like it.
Hey, let's go back to your question about giving advice to open micers through the process of, you don't have to go all the way to becoming a headliner, but maybe the first time the comedy club owner comes up to you and says, hey, we got a show Friday night. We want you to do 7 minutes or something like that. Tell us about that process.
Okay, so how it goes from there. So you're doing open mics, you're doing it all over the place. After a while, you start to get known throughout the circuit. And the circuit is your city. It's where you're starting out. And it's all the different spots where you can get on stage. Some are booked, some are just show up, go up. And so then you start getting better. You start getting noticed. You start getting funnier. And then that's when normally like a headliner or like somebody who's been around for a while, like a feature or like a road opener or something like that, or just a club regular, like, hey, start talking to you. Or like you're around and you just say hi. Like, don't try and be funny to them. Like, you say hi, you're cordial and everything like that, but it's like, So then they start seeing you, and then the word of mouth starts to happen. It's like, no, this kid's funny. You got to check him out. Because as a comic, you're going to get more work from other comics, just them talking to club managers and stuff like that. So then all of a sudden the club manager or owner is going to give somebody a shot. Like, I've seen you around here a lot of times. I've seen you progress. You've gotten pretty funny. Come by, do 7 minutes and that's basically how that happens. And then what you've got to do is you've got to make sure you bring your A game.
Yeah. No trying out new jokes.
No, you don't. You never try out new jokes.
The paid crowd
on a big show. That's what open mics are for. When you become for me, I'm a regular at the La Jolla Comedy Store. I can get up at the Madhouse whenever I want. You know what I mean? Because I know the owner and stuff like that. So those are my spots to do new jokes. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a regular at the Comedy Store. Like if you want to do anything at the La Jolla Comedy Store, you have to go through me. So
how did the fluffy dog joke work for you?
Oh, it kills. It kills. It's one of my favorite jokes to tell, especially because there's a picture that goes along with it. And my girl loves that joke because when she comes out with her friends and stuff like that, especially new ones that have never seen me on stage, like coworkers and things like that, like she'll pull up the picture and show them as I'm doing the joke. Like, this is the one he's talking about.
What's the dog's name?
Mo.
Okay.
It's Momo. It's her little fur baby.
That's awesome.
I love that fucking dog. It's so crazy.
And the truth comes
it's so
out.
crazy. That's like I love. She snuggles up to me and like she like hit on my back with her paws and stuff. Like, hey, rub my belly. And it's like I can't. I have to. So, but what was the question again? Sorry.
Well, just the transition of going.
Okay, from open mic to. So then you start doing like little opening shows and things like that. Like, you know.
And comics are always looking for other comics to fill
comics
their shows.
are always looking for other comics. Like, that's another thing that's happening. Like a good friend of mine, Dean Del Rey, he's always going on the road and he's opening up for Mark Maron and Chris D'Elia and like all the big name comics that are out today. And another friend of mine, Steve Simone, he's always on the road with Gabriel Iglesias just because, you know, one, they're really nice guys. Also, don't get fucked up. Don't get fucked up before the shows. After the shows, have a couple, but don't get fucked up in the clubs.
Yeah.
That's, you know, wait till after the club closes down. Or if it's like a weekend and everybody's hanging out afterwards, feel free to get loose, but you want to try and keep it professional. That's your office. Yeah, everybody else is drinking, having fun, but that's your office, and you have to treat it as such.
How would a new comic engage? You're saying, so comics always need other comics. How would a new comic engage with these bigger name comedians to get in the filler spots, I guess is what you'd call them?
One of the ways that they can do that is they just keep being around and just, you know, just being nice, being a regular person and just, you know, just not trying to be like, hey, I'm a comic. Hey, I'm a comic. Because if you're at that level, you already have friends. Like my good friend Jason Lawhead, he used to go on the road with Bill Burr all the time, you know, and like, but now he's, you know, headlining his own clubs. He still goes out on the road with them, but it's, you know, but that's because he used to work in Cleveland at a comedy club. And because he used to work in Cleveland at a comedy club and he'd be getting those opening spots and stuff, that's how they started to see him. They just started to interact just regular and things of that nature. They talk about things other than comedy. You know, there's John Caponera, old-time Chicago comic out here. He used to does his killer Harry Carey impersonation.
Yeah, he's funny.
Every time he'd come down, and he's hilarious. He's been doing it since the 80s. Every time he'd come down, all the comics would crowd around him and try and talk comedy. But he knew I was from Chicago, and so they would talk comedy, and he would leave them and come to me and talk about the White Sox, because he's a White Sox fan, or talk about the Bears, and just, you know, or Portillo's, one of the sandwich spot in Chicago, just regular things, because he didn't want to talk about comedy because he's done working. You know, he wants to talk about regular stuff. So be a regular person. You know, you don't have to talk about comedy or how funny you are and how many open mics you do.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do as a newer comic after you've been doing it for a few years, start your own show somewhere. Like, not just an open mic, but start your own show somewhere where you can start booking comics. Find a bar that'll give you a little bit of money to book actual name comics, and just start finding those comics and be like, hey, I've got this show. It pays $100. Would you mind coming in and doing 30, 40 minutes for $100? And if it's like on a Wednesday, they're not doing shit anyways. You know what I mean? Or just doing like a quick 15-minute spot here and there just to work out some new stuff.
So you had a podcast. So would you recommend that for comedians too?
It's nice to have a podcast just because you need content to put out there, because the more content that you have out there, like the more you're going to be seen. Like if you Google search somebody, you want a page full of just you to show up. And even onto the second page, more stuff. You know what I mean? So podcasts are good. It just seems like a little oversaturated right now, to where if you don't have like something like this, like a good setup, if it's not sounding right, if it doesn't look right, if it's very like, yeah, I'm just recording this off my iPhone because I'm on a budget.
Right.
You know, invest in equipment. So I would say more towards video, like quick little like 2 minute, 1 minute, like quicker little video things that you can put out there rather than a podcast, and save the podcast to where you actually start getting a little more noticed.
Sure. And, you know, one thing that you've talked a lot about, and I was very fortunate, I worked in a club in Wilmington, North Carolina called Nut Street Comedy, and the owner was a comic himself. It was just a great environment. We'd have open mics on Thursday nights, and in our heyday, when I moved out, we'd have about 30, 35 comics signing up. Yeah, it was fun. It was a great community. And it seems like you have been a big part of really helping establish the community and the culture here. And for a new comic, that's everything, because it's hard enough writing and getting on stage every week. But when you can come into a room and have people, fist pumping and you feel like that's your home every week.
Yeah, that's your family.
Yeah.
That's really important because that's your support system. Like with anything in life, you need a support system. Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of people in like poor communities, like they end up doing crime and gangs because that's their support system. Those are the people out there that's taking care of them and helping them out. Whereas if you go to rich areas and those other businessmen and businesswomen and bankers and stuff like that, they're helping each other out because that's who they're hanging out with and stuff. So with comedy and things of that nature, that's what I'm saying. Talk to the other people on your level.
Right.
When you first start doing it, because they're going to be like, yeah, come over here, come over there. You guys are going to become friends. Then you guys are going to see each other grow. Like right now, my buddy Mal, he's tours with Angela Johnson all the time. He's worked for Fuse TV. He's worked on, I think it was called Revolt, something that P. Diddy was trying to work on.
He was coming out with a comedy.
He runs his own show at the Tipsy Crow. He's been on TV a bunch of times. My buddy Billy Bonnell has been on Comedy Central. Greg Santos is rolling all over the place. And these are the guys that I've been coming up with. These are my friends. So these are the guys that, like, when I'm going to a new city, I'm like, yo, Billy, can I get what can you get me up anywhere?
Because you've surrounded yourself.
Because I've surrounded myself with those people, and those are my friends.
And if you notice in a lot of the comedies, movies, you see a lot of the same
cast, same people because they're all friends, and they're more likely to bring their friends on with them than they are with anybody else. Like if you think about it, the Carmichael show. Like I know Gerard. Like I've known Gerard since he was a 15-minute opener on the weekends, and now he has his own show. And then to find out that Willie Hunter is one of the writers on his show. You know what I mean? Like all these guys that I know are writers on the show and help produce the show because they're friends. They've gone through the different open mics and they've bounced around all the different stages. They've lived together. You know what I mean? They've had midnight barbecues after shows where they're just joking around and screwing around and stuff like that.
Mike, what's your vision for your career? Like what do you want?
Right now in my career, I am in the process of starting my own production company.
Wow.
Where I'm bringing shows to different places. I'm not going to give my whole secret and everything like that. I've been building different, grabbing all this equipment to start producing comedy albums and stuff like that. And with this day and age, with how the internet and how technology has gone, you don't have to be in LA or New York or in Chicago to make it. You can be wherever you are.
That's crazy.
Because we're all connected.
Right.
So that's my step right now. At the same time, I'm also trying to, one of my passions, because I grew up poor, is I want to do something. Like one of the things, I love baseball, but I never played Little League because that shit's expensive. Like you can't play Little League if you're on welfare. So I want to start doing things where I can start giving back to the community. I'm also a veteran, so I want to help veterans. I was raised by a single mom, so I want to help single moms. I want to help people. So I've been researching and trying to start an organization to where I can just collect money. And this month we're gonna collect as much money as possible, take a bunch of foster kids out, get them new clothes and school supplies, so that way they can go to school and not look like a scumbag. You know what I mean? Like have the stuff that they need, or hey, it's Veterans Day is coming up. Let's throw a big ass barbecue and get some entertainment down for our veterans and have it at this UFW post. You know what I mean?
I can see the name of your charity. Yeah. Don't look like a scumbag.
Yeah. NoScumbags.org.
Hey, man, we want to thank you. Full of content, full of great information. We do have one or two final questions for you. Hey, before we do
I'll keep them short if you need.
No, this is great. We're rocking.
My fiance says I can never give a simple answer. She'll ask me yes or no questions, and 3 minutes later she's like, "So, do you want fucking chicken or not?"
That's an occupational hazard. Yeah, for sure.
And Ashley, you did an amazing job today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome. And hey, guys, before we go any further, we're going to hit our sponsors. We got two sponsors. The first one is a company that I've been a member with for 18 years, Legal Shield. Legal Shield helps individuals and businesses, families get access to the legal system that normally couldn't. For as little as about $20 a month, you can have unlimited access 24/7, 365 to some of the finest attorneys across the United States and Canada. And just Google Legal Shield for your independent associate to get more information. Benito?
And our second sponsor is Sports eShop. And what we did was we created the ultimate fan experience. Anybody who's a sports junkie, we take them to stadiums around the country, MLB, NFL. We get you to go tailgating, sometimes meet celebrities. We give great prizes away. And anytime anybody wants to go around the country and learn about how to go to a game, about anything involved with sports, that's what we do. So if you have any questions, hit us up, message us, and we can go from there.
I'm going to hit you up on that one. Well, in 2020, it's the Bears' 100-year anniversary.
What?
And so that's one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and time's running out. That's in 4 years. I want to go to every game.
That's cool. Hey, maybe we could do it together.
Yeah, right?
We'll call it the 16 tour.
Yeah, the 60. Yeah, it's not as impressive as the 162.
It's close. I mean, I went to my first Bear game in Chicago about 3 years ago. So much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. I saw the Grateful Dead there last summer, too, the last 3 shows.
What?
Yeah, July 4th weekend. It was great. Right in Soldier Field.
Humid as fuck.
Well, total difference between if you go in like a, August, October game versus, middle of December, right?
Well, yeah, it's freezing cold.
But is there a tailgate area at Soldier Field or what?
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's Chicago loves their sports. It's a great sports town.
I know.
It's right there at the park too. So you just go to the park and you just grill
they
out.
redid the stadium or remodeled it or something.
They remodeled it. I think they purposely lost a playoff game because they're already scheduled for construction.
Whoa, conspiracy theory.
Yeah, right. I think it was when they were playing Philly. It was a close game,
like
and all of a sudden they blew it. And it's like and then the Bulldozers were already outside, ready to go for the next day. Wow. And it's like, oh, really, guys? That's fucking.
That's great.
That's great. Wow. I got another question before we get up here. You do a lot of stand-up comedy. You've been coming up through the years. Who were some of the, I guess, most known comics you worked with? Or in the second part to that was who would be one of the most comics that you would like to join on the stage with you?
Oh, shit. The comics, because I'm at the Comedy Store, I see a lot of the greats, and I get to open up for them all the time. And a lot of times they'll request me. So it's like the first... I'm going to say my favorite one that I've done, some of the most notable ones, was my first time ever doing a weekend spot. Chris D'Elia was the opener. Brian Callen was the feature. And then one of my favorites, Dov Davidoff, was the headliner. Nice. Like now you look, it's like, holy shit. Like those are like, but that was my first time doing a weekend spot at the Comedy Store. I've opened up for Pauly Shore, who's a fucking nut job.
I've hung out with him. He is a nut job.
He's a fucking.
His family owns the store. Is that accurate?
Yeah. His dad started the one in Hollywood. His mom took it in divorce when he went on the road with Elvis, because he used to open up for Elvis way back in the day when comics.
Elvis, like the real
Elvis Presley, yeah.
It's not like Elvis Costello.
Remember in the 70s when Elvis died and was doing a show in Vegas and stuff like that? Yeah. Well, Sammy Shore, Pauly Shore's dad, used to had the Comedy Store. He used to call it Stereos way back in the day. That's also where Frank Sinatra discovered Sammy Davis Jr. So there's a lot of history with the Comedy Store.
Wow. Wow.
The one in La Jolla.
No, that was the one in Hollywood.
Okay.
So he had that one. He went on the road with Elvis. His wife, Mitzi, took it over, painted everything black because he couldn't leave it. He was trying to leave it to one of his friends to run, but they were all going on the road too. And so he had nobody. So he's like, honey, do you want to take it? She's like, yeah, I'll do it. And she loved comedy. She met him as he was doing a show in Wisconsin, then ended up coming out to LA, getting pregnant, and having a couple kids, and taking over the business. So he leaves. She takes over, paints everything black. First person to put comic after comic after comic. Before then it was comic with a musical interlude, another comic, more music, another comic, because nobody thought comics could follow each other. She's like, no. She painted everything black, put the spotlights on the stage. She said the comic should be the only thing seen.
Wow.
And then put comic after comic. She's a game changer. Yeah, she's a huge game changer. Like that's why everything is the way it is now. Wanted to expand, so she came down to San Diego, opened it up. It's the 40-year anniversary is this month of being down in San Diego. It was in PB for a year and then went to La Jolla. And then she had one in Vegas for a while and one in a second one in LA and one in Hawaii. And those three closed down, and she just has the one in La Jolla now. And so it's Pauly Shore's mom that owns it. I've seen her. She's old and she's just like last leg.
She come out still?
Every once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Every once in a blue moon, but she has a lot of health issues. So
Sure.
Mike, real quick, was there, and I think there is in everybody's career, but what were some of the moments where you were like, or were there, maybe there weren't, where you were like, maybe this isn't going to happen, where you're frustrated and you're just...
it still happens. It still happens. Yeah. And I've been in the game for like 10 years. It still happens when you get frustrated. Like you're not coming up with anything new. You've hit a roadblock. You're just like should I? Yeah, just like the different, and you just have to try and figure out what's next? What's my next step? Because at first it's like, I just want to do comedy. And then it's like, all right, I'm doing comedy. Now what's next? You know what I mean? So you always hit those plateaus where you're just like, am I doing this right? Like should I be going there? Then all of a sudden something will happen. And like the last time it happened, I think it was like about 3 years ago, I was like, still working at the Comedy Store. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just still around San Diego. Like I've been in New York. I've traveled a lot doing it, and then all of a sudden, all of it stopped. And it's like, fuck. What am I doing? Like, why is this like this? And all of a sudden, my buddy Steve Simone's like, hey, I'm headlining over here. You want a feature for me? And started giving me feature. I was like, oh, okay, that's right. That's why I'm still doing this. That's why this is going on. So you just like everything kind of stagnates and stalls for a while, and then you're just like, something happens and you just end up back in gear.
That's really nice to hear you say that, because now I know that I'm not crazy, and it happens to everyone.
It takes time. It takes a lot of time.
And I think it's across industries, you know, and one of the interesting things, we've had really successful real estate people on the show, and authors and entrepreneurs, and when you boil it down, everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah. The common denominators.
Yeah, common denominators, and good stuff. Hey, final question. For Mike Vinn, we ask this to all of our guests. And thanks again, man. You're great. We really appreciate it.
No
Mike, you're awesome.
Yeah,
you rock,
fun.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We ask everybody this question. Advice that you would give your 18-year-old self. If you had to do it all over again, you're talking to yourself, giving yourself a little pep talk when you're 18, what would you like to tell yourself to expect?
If I had to tell myself, follow your gut. Follow your instincts. Because they've led me to where I'm at now, and I'm really happy in my life. So it's follow your gut, follow your instincts. That'd be it. You know what I mean?
That's great.
Simple.
Ashley, thanks for being on. Any final comments?
Mike, you're awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You're awesome yourself. So are you. So are you.
Appreciate
it. Been a great, very wholesome show.
Mike, appreciate you joining us. We had an awesome show today. You can find us at the 162 Experience on Facebook. We're going to be uploading stuff to YouTube as well. Steve, any closing comments?
Hey, let's just all thank Robert, all in unison, for doing a great job today. Thank you, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Our sound guy, technician / producer. Thanks, Robert. And guys, Funny Business, 162 Experience, episode 9. It's a wrap.
We're out.